Welcome to Free in Three. This is Joe Whitchurch on the third day of the week. You know, Sunday's the first day of the week because the Sabbath is Saturday. So Tuesday is the third day of the week, and it's about 3:33 my time. And I'm doing psychedelic Tuesdays with this colorful piece of artwork behind me here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the appeal to authority in logic and in reasoning and in case making. There's a famous evangelical publishing house that published a book by a guy named John H. Walton on how the flood was not global. And it presents in its table of contents an interesting flow of argument on this subject. It goes something like this. The Bible is an ancient piece of literature. Okay, so the assumption here is you are not an expert on ancient literature, so listen to what the expert's going to tell you. By the way, lying is an ancient practice. So is truth discovery an ancient practice. So is math, and so is logic. But anyway, the Bible is an ancient document. Therefore, the flood is... No, he doesn't say therefore. Anyway, but he's building a case for why the flood was not global. Secondly, ancient documents like the Bible use a lot of hyperbole. That means when you went to the market in ancient days and you had one onion and traded it for 1,000 tomatoes, the person that got the 1,000 tomatoes was just using a lot of hyperbole, even if the onion person was getting a great deal, getting 1,000 onions for one tomato, because they didn't do math very well, and they didn't do exaggerations very well, and they couldn't reason very well. They just used a lot of deceptive hyperbole. That's what they did back in those ancient days. They used a lot of hyperbole. And so the Bible, and this is what John H. Walton says in this book on an evangelical publisher, actually intends to teach that the flood was, in fact, global. That's what the exegesis of Genesis 6 and so forth on following actually intends to say, that the flood was global, but they intentionally used lying hyperbole. So much for this publishing house's commitment to their first statement of faith: entirely trustworthy scriptures. Not so entirely trustworthy, apparently. So they use this hyperbole, but they did it to teach a higher truth, and that is that the whole theme of Genesis 1 through 11 in this prehistory, it's based on real facts, just real facts that never happened. So he doesn't believe the flood was universal, but he uses the fact that the Scripture says and intends to say that it was global to teach us something from Scripture that doesn't apparently have any authority here, that actually the flood was not global. Fascinating logic. I think I'm going to retire to Bedlam and read some Brian McLaren. He can contradict himself within a paragraph. I don't even have to look at the section titles of the book. Well, anyway, when people tell you that they're an expert on the biblical literature and tell you deceptive things like this, don't take it too seriously. Just have a little chuckle and put your trust on biblical authority. People will do it with genre too. Oh, the genre is poetry. Therefore, when it uses similes and metaphors, it's actually telling you things that aren't true, but they can do that because it's poetry. No, similes and metaphors are used in historic narrative as well, and they don't use them deceptively. And what is up with this? What is about? Search the Scriptures indeed, Tony. Thank you for commenting. Okay, my second thing is maybe a little more controversial. It has to do with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm so proud of them, and none of their players took the knee in protest of the flag. But what? Only 5 or 10 of them were going to take the opportunity to go to the White House? This is crazy. Black unemployment is at an all-time low. lowest in 18 years, as long as record keeping, and they're using an opportunity to be celebrated and an invitation to the White House to do some kind of a protest right before we try to broker some kind of peace with North Korea, and they're going to do their own little fiddling, embarrassing protest thing. If I was President Trump, I think I would put out a little parody song. Keep on a-knocking me, baby. Keep on a-knocking me, baby. Keep on a-knocking me, baby. Keep on a-knocking me, knock me, baby. So what's the deal? The unemployment is all-time low. We've got this peace thing going on with North Korea for the first time in history. We've got the Supreme Court person on there. We've got a lot of good things happening, but all it is knocking me, baby. Well, our president's had some real problems historically, and I got to tell you, he was my bottom choice on the Republican side of the thing. But yeah, he rescinded the invitation to the team. I guess all my friends that are boycotting the NFL and so proud of the NFL for saying they're going to do this and that, and now the NFL saying, oh, our president has done such a loathsome thing. He invited the team and only half of them or less could come, and so he rescinded the offer. Good for the president. So anyway, I'm not a President Trump right or wrong kind of person at all, but disinviting the Eagles to the White House, who cares? Who cares? So if your authority is the NFL, though, you may want to take this very seriously. And they were very seriously about respecting the office and respecting the flag. Oh, they're oh so serious about it. But they should be able to have their own private protest at the White House, financed by the president. What days we live in. Well, take care, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this free inThree, and keep on believing the authority of the Scriptures. The person that said, yea, hath God said, it was the possessed snake. And the flood is a type of the global final judgment mentioned in 2 Peter chapter 3. The geology record doesn't say so. And all of the ancient cultures and diverse cultures that have a flood narrative, they prove nothing. But we can land a toaster on Mars, and that's going to prove that Mars had a universal flood. Friends, search the Scripture. The authority is in the Scripture, not in some of these experts. All right. I hope you're having a good day, and I will talk to you later. Next Tuesday, you get free inThree by paying attention to the authority of Scripture and not the so-called authorities that have to use intentional lies to prove that a source is authoritative. What a world. What a world. May the Lord deliver us from evangelicals like these.